It's about. All right, cool. No sweat. Lord Christ, to see you. And then Mark asked him where the stream at. He said he's gonna be here soon.
I'm outside, girl. Alright, got a few people logging on. Give it a few minutes. Some viewers on YouTube. Got some viewers on Facebook. Picture look good.
You want to do that?
Yeah,
That's cool.
that camera just, is always chopping me up.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. Right. Hey, Shalom, Israel. Yahbashim Shabrak Thumb, Yahweh Shemala Bashim Yashad. It's I.S.U.P.K. Indianapolis, Lashawan, Qadash. Also 5,000 Potters Alabama. We about to get it on with some Hebrew. You understand? Type in all your questions. If you got any questions. Hey, Shalom, Yahbashim Shbrakatah, Gadal Ya'Allah, Most High in Christ. All right. Got brothers in the house. All right, let's go ahead and get started. If you got any questions, go ahead and type them in. We're going to kick the class off like we always do with the alphabet. See, I'm borrowing Captain Qadash beret.
What's up, Christ?
You know what I'm saying? You got a priest hooked up. I'm gonna have to give me a beret now.
Yeah.
All right. So like we always do, we'll run through the ancient first, and then we'll run through the Assyrian alphabet. Learning the alphabet obviously is key to learning the language. Anytime you study a language, it's good to know the alphabet, not just the words. You want to understand how the sounds and how to pronounce the sounds within the words. Right? So this right here is an I. That's what it looks like. That's the sound it makes. This is Ba. Ga. Da. Ha. Wa. Za. Ka. Ta. And Ya. All right, we're going to start on the next line. We're continuing on with the ancient. That's a Ka. Not to be confused with Ka. La. Ma. Na, Sa, I. That's an I. Select. Makes the sound I. Pa. Tazak. Qua. Ra. Sha. And Tha. Abagadaha. Waza ka ta ya la ka la ma na sa I pa taza qua ra sha tha. All right, that's your ancient alphabet, all 22 letters. 22? 22 characters, 22 letters. These are all consonants. None of these are vowels. You don't have any vowels in ancient Hebrew. What you find in this modern Hebrew is imposed vowels. But ancient Hebrew, even though you see the letter A and A's in here and the I, those are not vowels. Those are the sounds it makes. So these are all consonants, right?
Got a question.
You got a catch.
So which letters? Because English got 26 letters.
Right.
Which letters does English have that Hebrew doesn't?
Mostly the vowels.
A, E, I, O, U.
Concept.
So the E, we got I. We don't have O. Oh no, we don't have O and the U.
You don't have it doesn't, I mean, you have the sounds that represent those letters, but you don't have those letters represented, so to speak, if that makes sense. So I know a lot of people, if you're watching online, Captain Qadash asked a good question. Let me switch over here and make sure ain't no questions over here. No. He asked, what letters are not here represented, since there's 22 letters in ancient Hebrew and there's 26 in English. Where's the letters? But what we talked about is, even though the letters aren't represented, the sounds are represented, right? Well, not necessarily, not even like an E sound is not even really represented. You know what I mean? It's just,
I counted three. The E, the O, and the U. But what's the fourth one? There should be a fourth letter that English has that Hebrew doesn't. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K.
Oh, you mean like the sound it represents, or like
just the letter?
Just
like
the letter.
26 letters,
right?
And there's 22 Hebrew letters. But like a Y could be like Yah.
Right.
Or a W would be like Wah.
Well, you don't have a U here. There's no U. There's no E.
Yeah, I-E-O-U. So that's three, but there was a fourth one. There's a fourth one to make it 26.
Let's see. So A, B, C, D,
J.
E. Yeah, to be the J. Really?
Yeah, J. Okay, J.
So there's no like, and I don't even know if there's like a sound that's represented for the J.
Damn.
But that makes sense because the J was invented in what, the 1700, something like that?
Yeah, that's what I heard.
I looked it up one time and it was like the letter wasn't even created until like 1700s.
How the hell did they create a letter?
They just imposed, like they
just start teaching it in school that this is a letter and this is the sound that it makes.
Whoever altered the language, languages are always altered. And that's the thing, that's a good point. Our language was altered. And we're about to go over it right now. Even though we have the letters representing the sounds, but the letters are different. We bastardize our language. Like a lot of these nations, they go through over time, Like for instance, months. Those names have changed, right? They before, and we're going to do that one time in class. We're going to go over the Hebrew months, but the Romans have, you know, what they have, what they represent for months, and we not celebrate them today, but we use them today, you know, because that's the common language, is English. But you know, January is the worship of Janus, which is something that the Roman Empire did, right? And the Romans, they stole most of their customs from the Greeks. And the Greeks got most of their customs from the Egyptians. The Egyptians got most of their customs from the Babylonians, right? So all this stuff is just regurgitated. The stuff that's been around and what we're trying to reclaim for our people is Hebrew, right? Hebrew is our original tongue, right? Or everyone's original tongue, really, or the first language, I should say, to be more clear, right? So this here, like I said, this is ancient Hebrew. Now let's do the Assyrian Hebrew, which is when we went into the Assyrian captivity. Basically how we changed our language, we bastardized our language, right? And we changed the letters. This one's about done. I think I got some more in the drawer.
I think that drawer right there. Okay. Should be in the back of it. Here it is.
All right, so let's get a fresh marker. All right, that's I. Now what you want to do is, because this one is a little difficult to draw, but you get the gist of what it looks like. You want to look at, you want to go to actually, if you online and you need this chart, put your email in there, and then I can email you the chart, right? I'll email you the chart so you have it in your email. You can reference this, right? But this is I. So like I always mention, if you go look this up and you speak in the so-called Jewish man or the Jewish man, if you speak in his language, which is Yiddish, this symbol right here is going to represent a totally different sound. And one day we may go over that just so we can distinguish the difference. But just realize we've shown you the corresponding sound that this character actually makes. It makes an I, right? The Yiddish man or the Yiddish language is going to be a totally different sound. So you can't learn Yiddish, you can't learn modern Hebrew from the Jewish man, because you're going to not know ancient Hebrew, right? It's a totally different language. It's a Slavic tongue. So this is ancient Hebrew, right? All right, so this is the ba. I'm just going to draw a little line here. Maybe the board. The board probably got to be clean for this marker acting crazy too. All right, so this is the dot, or the ga, Salaki. That's the ga. No, it's not. There we go. That's the guy in the Syrian. That's the da. Notice the lip on the end. The lip on the end. The reason I'm having you recognize the difference is because there's another character that looks similar to this and you don't want to get confused, because when you're reading the text in the fine printed version, it's easy to get confused with the da. I'm just gonna go ahead and write the letter now. The one that you're confused it with is the ra. All right, so the ra does not have a lip over here. It's just a hook. The da does. All right. That's the ha. Notice the gap in between. That's the wa. That's the za. That's the ka. Notice there's no gap and there's a lip on both sides. That's the ta. That's the ya. The ya is much shorter than all the rest of the characters. It's like a little hook up at the top. All right. And I'm realizing this camera seems like it's a little far away. Let me see if I can scoot it up so maybe you can see those characters better. All right, that's the ya. That's the ka. Now, every class I'll go over the Assyrian, and it's important, especially for brothers looking to take their officer's test. You got to know how to read and write ancient Hebrew. There's no questions on Facebook. All right, you got to know how to read and write ancient and Assyrian. Assyrian Hebrew, you have 5 letters where the ending character changes, meaning this. If this ka is in between 2 letters in Assyrian, it looks like that. If the ka comes at the end of the word, it looks like this. All right. Not to be confused with the ra. In fact, the ra is a little less rigid than what I put, so I'm gonna do it over. More curved. All right, so not to be confused with the ra. A little bit more curved on the ra. That's how you recognize it in the printed text, as opposed to the ka, which is at the end of the word. All right, so this is if it's between 2 letters. That's what the ka looks like in Assyrian. Let me draw a line. You got ancient on the top, Assyrian on the bottom. In between letters, at the end of a word. All right, that's what it looks like. That's the la. That's the ma. Actually, the tail's longer. All right, so the ma is the second letter, where if it's at the end of a word, it looks different. It's a little bit more rigid when it's at the end of the word. All right, this is a na. When the na is at the end of a word.
Like that's as close as it can go to the camera.
Yeah, that's about it. Maybe a hair more. This line. Matter of fact, maybe if we got the spaghetti. Yeah, that's about it. It ain't going really no further than that. We'll get another inch tool next class.
Oh, okay.
With the spaghetti.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, we need to get some type of extender.
Yeah.
If they got something out there.
Right.
I don't know if it can still transfer the video.
Somebody online complained about not being able to see, or you just checking it out?
No, everybody's watching pretty good.
Okay. All right. So that's the na. Then you got the sa. You got the sa, not to be confused with the ma. The sa is much more circular, and the tail is at a diagonal, where the ma it comes kind of straight across like that. So just when you see the sa, it's more circular to begin with, and then the tail is coming in like that at an angle. So that's what the sa is going to look like. Then you got the I. All right. The I looks like a Y. Then you got the pi. Pi is the fourth letter that looks different on the end. When it's in between two letters, it looks like this. When it's at the end, it looks like this. All right. Then you got the taza. Taza looks like this when it's in between two letters. Looks like that when it's at the end of a word. Then you got the qua. Qua looks like an R, that's where the tail doesn't come down all the way. Then you got the ra, which we previously spoke about, not to be confused with the da. Like it's fairly easy to distinguish it now, but once you get to reading the printed text. In fact, just go to any Hebrew site and look at the printed text. You'll start noticing the slight variations in, say, like the sa and the ma, right? Another thing you can do is you might want to invest in a Hebrew dictionary. You go to our website and look at the list of books and study tools. When you study in Hebrew, you definitely want a good Hebrew dictionary. You definitely want the Blue Letter Bible. That's something that you should download on your phone if you got it. It's a great way to look up words and see the corresponding Hebrew word for it. And you definitely want the website 2-letter lookup, right? So say you have a Hebrew word and you want to find out what a Hebrew word means, you type in the first Hebrew letters of that word, and it'll give you a whole list of words. And then basically you find the word that you're looking for, and it'll show you the meaning of that word. So those are good resources that you want to add to your repertoire, to your study tools, if you're looking to be proficient at Hebrew. All right. That's the shot. And lastly, is the thigh. All right. So again, on the top is ancient Hebrew. Ancient. Obviously, a lot of people think the ancient is much easier to remember. I like the ancient Hebrew myself because the characters are much more, they're easier distinguished, right? So clearly, you can see like there's not a lot of, you can't really confuse one with the other, right? You got the ah, the ba, the ga, the da, ha, wa, they all look different. Even down here on the next, the ka, the la, the ma, the na, the sai, or the sa, the I, all that, they look different, right? Now, when you get to the Syrian, you got the da almost looks like the ra. You got the ma almost looks like the sa. You got the ha almost looks like the ka.
My glasses.
That's from
Right. Right.
come on, sir. All right. So, as I was saying, you got letters, you got characters in the Assyrian Hebrew that you can confuse with other characters, right? So it takes practice, it takes time. You got to get actually in the printed text and start practicing. Like I said, especially for you brothers aspiring to be priests of the Lord, you know, you come up for Sabbath service, you want to be proficient at Hebrew, when you're called up. And you generally speaking, when you're reading Hebrew, you're not reading the ancient characters, right? You got to be reading some artifact. In today's time, you're only going to find artifacts with this ancient Hebrew. Very little documentation will have these characters on here. But what you will see when you're reading Hebrew, you'll see these characters here, right? So you want to be proficient. That's why I said earlier, you have to learn how to read the Assyrian and the ancient Hebrew, because mostly what you're going to be reading is the Assyrian, because that's what's in all the printed documentation these days, right? So again, if you need this, put your email address in the chat and I can email you a soft copy or a digital copy of this, the Lashawan Qadash alphabet, right? Let me check Facebook, make sure there's no questions on Facebook. Nope. All right, so that's it on that's it. I don't see any questions. We're gonna drop the alphabet. Like I said, I always start the class with the alphabet. The more proficient you get at the characters and the sound, the better off you'll be with trying to read it, right? You get up in front of Sabbath service and you'll spit it out because you'll know all the characters. Now, a lot of times it may not flow as easily, but at least you'll know the characters, the proper characters to use. All right. So now we're gonna get into numbers. This week we're gonna be working on numbers, right? Every week we're gonna try to do something a little different. We'll do days of the week. We'll do months in Hebrew. Last time I think we did some special requests, but prior to that we did possessive. We showed possession. I think the example we used was Abba, which is father. We said my father, your father, his father, her father, our father, right? We went through that. So this week we're going to be going over numbers in Hebrew, right? And so, Like I said, every week we'll try to do something a little different. You can put this stuff in your notes just as a reference point to say, you know, if you ever need to know a number in Hebrew, then you'll have it. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, number one, which is the number one, is a Qad. A Qad. A Qad. All right, let's get it in ancient Hebrew. All these words, we're not just gonna write these words on the board. We're gonna get them in Hebrew. That's the whole point, right? It's easy to go and look up a word and say, yeah, this is a Hebrew word. Well, how do you write it in Hebrew? Go ahead.
Lucky. What language is that?
Well, this is, I'm just writing it in English for now.
English.
Yeah, this is in English. All right. So when you write it out in English, this is what it looks like. But now let's get it in Hebrew. All right, so this is the A, this is the Ka, and this is the Da, right? So you can see here, the A is by itself. This A represents this sound. A. This Ka represents this sound, just like the letter, and this represents Da. Right? A Ka. So when you write it out, it looks like this in English. These are the ancient Hebrew characters for it. All right? And so let's go ahead and get it in Assyrian, because again, although you have the ancient Hebrew letters, when you're reading this, you're going to read it in the Assyrian, because that's how it comes. All right?
Okay.
So let's get it in Assyrian. That's the I. That's the Ka. That's the Da. All right, now we got it both in ancient and Assyrian. Akkad means one. All right, I need you a second to copy that down. Then we're going to go on to number two. All right, that's number one. Let's get number two. Number 2 is Shanayim. Shanayim. All right. So if you're writing that out in ancient Hebrew, you'll need the sh, and then the na, and then the ya, and then the ma. All right. And then in ancient Hebrew, you have the connectors, obviously. Shanayim. All right, so now let's get the same characters. We're going to get it in Assyrian. The shell pretty much looks the same. That's a slight variation, but they both look like W's, right? And then the nub. That nub is slightly off. Let me redo it. Right. And then the ya. And then the ma. Now, so here's an example of what we were talking about. If the ma is one of those letters, when it's at the end of the word, it looks different. So we're going to do it both ways. And I'm going to try to show you, distinguish the difference between the two. All right. All right. So this is what it looks like if it was between two letters. Normally you would write it like this. But since it's at the end, it looks just slightly, a little bit boxier. All right. Sh, na, ya, ma. Shanayim. That's how you say two. Matter of fact, I think I'm gonna leave them up here, and then we'll go through what we can fit on the board, and then we'll erase them and do the last one. So that's the number 2. Let's get to number 3. Shalawash. Shalawash. So you need the sh, the la, the wa, and the sh. Shalawash. So this sh, la, wa, you drop the last A on there. Same thing you did up here. So, like I said, normally if you wrote that out, let's go back to number 2 for a second. If you wrote that out, you would have the sh, the na, the ya, and the ma, right? So, really, if you didn't know anything about connecting Hebrew words, you would say shana ya, shana ya, shana naya ma is what you would say if you didn't know how to connect words, right? You would say shana yaima, shana yaima, but it's shana yum, because when the last two, when you connect words, one of the letters disappear. It's not always the last letter, but in this example it is shana yum. That was 2. Same thing for 3. All right. So if you wrote out all the characters that makes up the Hebrew word, you have the sh, the la, the wa, and the sh again. Right. If you didn't connect it, you would say shalawasha, which is a different word as opposed to shalawash. All right. Let me know if I'm moving too fast. I don't see any questions, so I assume everybody good. All right, so let's get it in Syrian. Same thing. You got the sh, right? And the la's a little different. The la, the wa, and the sha. Shilawash. Ancient on the top, Syrian on the bottom. Let's get 4. Oh, rabbi. All right. And just to make sure everybody know, have an idea of how you can find this out. Let's go. For everybody who's been watching the class, every week, let's go pull up your blue letter Bible. We're gonna do a blue letter Bible exercise. All right. Pull up your blue letter Bible. Once you get your blue letter Bible open, type in the little search, type in 4, F-O-U-R, 4. Got a question, why wouldn't you spell it shalawash with the wa and the sha? It's difficult to explain. Really, like and I learned this from General Q. Is like, it's basically just practice. So I can't give you like a rule. It's just that you learn these words. That's to Tio, who just asked the question. You just kind of got to learn the words and practice it. So it's one of those words. That's the way it's spelled. Shalawash. So yeah, I know sometimes it's confusing you. Like, well, why wouldn't it look this way? I wonder those same things. No, it's not a silent A. It's just joined together with another word. So you'll see sometimes sometimes the first two are connected, right? This might be a bad example. Let's just use this word for example. No, that probably wouldn't work. Let's see. Because this one is only one letter in I, or one, the I character only has one letter in it. So let's use this one up here, Shana Young, right? In some words, you might not, if these first two letters are connected, it might be SHNAYAM instead of SHA, right? If the first two letters were connected. But since it's just the last letters that are connected, the A on the end is dropped. So it really comes with seeing how the words are connected and just learning the words. So once you practice the words a lot, you start knowing, where the connectors go. I know that's kind of, you're looking probably for a hard, fast, a hard, fast rule, but there isn't one because I asked. So.
All right.
Says, so how in English language one sounds like one? You have to clarify that for me. I'm not sure what you mean. How in English language one sounds like one? I get what you're saying.
I'll say something more.
You got it.
All right. From the translation of languages, the English language, I mean, you got to look at this person's got to look at going from Hebrew into Greek, Latin, going all the way down the line. A lot of the times the words don't sound like, what I'm saying? I mean, that's a lot of, going down in languages.
Salagi, T.O.U., I don't want to call you a male if you're a female. T.O.U. a male or a woman. But anyway, T.O. said it was a statement. I get what you're saying. It was like, so how in the English language do one sounds like one? I get what they say, yeah. English is a female Most High in Christ. English is actually a difficult language to learn. If you speak to a lot of people, people who speak other languages, they say English is probably one of the more difficult languages to learn just because of all the rules. So I definitely get what you're saying about the one and the one. And,
I heard that long ago in the world.
Yeah.
That multiple times.
Yep. Yes, I think we take it for granted because we grew up learning English, but a lot of people who don't speak English, it's difficult for them to grasp. Just because, like you said, that's one example right there when you say one, but it sounds like one, and whereas in Hebrew, if you got an I, then the sound that it's going to make is an I. You're not going to write I and it doesn't sound like I. Where in English you can write WON, but it sounds like one. It sounds like a W, one, but it's an O, right? So you don't really get that in Hebrew. If you got an I or a Ra or a Ba and an I, those are the sounds it make, which is, why we think it's hard now because we don't speak it. But as we get more practice in this language, it's going to become a lot easier for us because that's, like I said, the perfect example that you just brought out. At one, you can say one and it, makes a W sound. Where you got this I, that I is going to sound like I 10 out of 10 times. If you write I, that sound it's going to make is I. So that's a good question / statement, though. All right. Back to the example. We were saying Blue Letter Bible and type in the word for, right? So I scrolled down when you pull it up in the Blue Letter Bible. Again, somebody blazed on my screen being cracked the other day. It's not cracked. That's the screen protector. So when you search it in there, it'll come up with a list of scriptures. I select the one Genesis 11 and 16. So if you're following along, select Genesis 11 and 16. And then you click read Genesis 11 and 16 in Bible view. Right? So then it'll show you The scripture, let the camera focus. Focus, come on. There it is. It's trying to. I know I'm making y'all dizzy. Anyway, the number 16. Click on the number 16, and it says interlinear concordance, right? And then you click interlinear concordance, and it pops up with this. I don't know why it ain't focusing.
I'm running to the gas station. Select anybody want something?
I'm to Wildcat.
Give me some chips. You want some chips?
All right, so you got the number 4, where it says, and Eber lived 4, right? And then it has the word 4 all by itself, right? So then you click it, and then it comes up with 4 and the Hebrew word for it.
Yeah, those are black bag. Cheetah.
See if I can get closer. All right, this focus there. All right, look at the Hebrew letters. There's an I, a Ra, a Ba, and an I. Here's what we have up here. Arabai, right? So if you want to look up, specific words, that's why I said the Blue Letter Bible is a good resource, because you can look up different words that you want to use. It's like we just looked up the number 4, even though I already had it written. I just wanted to take you all through that exercise so you can see, how to look up a word, right? And once you know how to look up words, obviously, if you have any questions on them, you can still get them verified, just like in the school. Before anybody gets a name, it has to go up through the generals, right? Because obviously they have more experience. They've been doing it for years. But it's simple to look up, like I said, we just looked up 4, and it gave us the Hebrew letters right at the top. Now, again, those are the Assyrian Hebrew letters. So if you don't know the Assyrian Hebrew, then you're not going to know how to put the corresponding ancient Hebrew, right? So that's Arabai. And so what do we need? First, we need the I. And then the Ra. And then the Ba. And then we need the I. You got the I, the Ba, or the I, the Ra, the Ba, and the I. So this is not connected. This is not connected. This is connected. Arabai. Now let's get it in Assyrian Hebrew. So Assyrian, that's the I, that's the Ra, that's the Ba, that's the I, Arabai. That's how you write 4. So we went through 1 through 4. And again, it's good to know how to write, the English version of it. It's also good to practice your Hebrew with the letters. You had a question?
No.
Oh, you too? All right, let's keep going. We'll have to erase these, so hopefully y'all wrote it down if y'all, following along. Number 5 is Kamash. Chamash. Kamash. Let's get it in ancient. What do you need? You need the ka. You need the ma. And you need the sha. I like those easy words. That's only 3 characters. Those, some of these Hebrew words you get in, 6, 7 characters. You like, dang, you trying to read that in Sabbath service. Y'all be trying to follow along in Sabbath service, and y'all be laughing at these brothers. But all these words, they not, 3-letter words. But these kind of words are easy. And again, ancient Hebrew is so much easier to remember because, like I said earlier, all the letters are distinguishable from each other. So now we have to get it. Now that we got it in ancient, Salakia, let's connect it. All right, Kamash. The ka. The ma. And the sha. Kamash. Let's get number 6. Actually, before I do that, if anybody's still participating, I want somebody to go in the Blue Letter Bible and let me know what the number 6 is. I'm gonna wait a few minutes. Let's see if somebody could punch it in. Try to get a little interaction. Can somebody go in your Blue Letter Bible? The Hebrew Bible use the connectors? No, you're not going to see that because the Bibles that we read today, they have modern Hebrew or the Assyrian Hebrew. Assyrian Hebrew uses some kind of like some dots, but they're not like connectors in ancient Hebrew. So T.O., if you participating, go ahead and see if you can look up the look up 6 in your Blue Letter Bible. If you can look up 6 in your Blue Letter Bible, right, we're gonna try to get a little interaction. Or anybody else online, see if you can look up the number 6. Again, where you want to go is just go to your Blue Letter Bible.
I thought you were doing Assyrian stuff too. So didn't you do the word Assyria too?
Assyrian?
Assyria?
Mm-mm.
Oh, I thought I saw it. Oh, you put ancient in Assyria.
Yeah,
Oh.
okay.
Shit.
All right, so we got the number 5, which is Kamash. How do you write the number 6 in Hebrew? We'll give it a few minutes, see if anybody could get it. Try to get a little class participation. All right, if nobody get in the next minute or so, I'll go ahead and put it up there. All right. Well, I don't see anybody punching it in, so I'll go ahead and put it up there. 6 is even easier than 5. All right. 5 had 3 letters. 6, the number 6 only has 2 letters.
And it's Shasha.
Shasha.
I'm sorry.
You can't think he knows it. Shasha. All right. So, this is super easy. Oh, hold on, got a question. So we have to translate from Assyrian to ancient. Shows again. Oh, no sweat, sis. Okay, right. So that's why we went through the Hebrew alphabet, right? That's why at the beginning of every class I go through the ancient Hebrew and the Assyrian Hebrew alphabet, right? Because let's just use this as an example. The top line is ancient. This bottom line is Assyrian, right? When you looking up words in Hebrew, just like in your blue letter Bible, the only Hebrew that you're gonna see is the Assyrian Hebrew. Well, again, Assyrian is what we when we bastardize our language when we're in Assyrian captivity. It's not the ancient Hebrew that we used, before that captivity. So, in order to read Hebrew and not speak Yiddish, which is what the Jewish man speaks, which is not ancient Hebrew, you have to learn the corresponding sounds that the characters in the ancient Hebrew make and match them to the Assyrian Hebrew characters, right? So as an example, that is a I, which is the first character, first letter of ancient Hebrew, right? That's the way the character looks. That's the sound. That's how you pronounce it. I, right? Now the corresponding, what you won't see this in the text, but what you will see is this. Mine is look kind of funky, but it's damn near like an X. This one is really the only Assyrian character that looks like this, so it's pretty easy to identify it as an I. Right. So when you read this, you just know that you have to learn what letter, like I said, what letter corresponds with what ancient letter. So when you see this character, just know to say I instead of whatever the Yiddish man speaks. Like I said, one class we're gonna come in here and I'm gonna do the Yiddish, the corresponding Yiddish letters. So it's something like, I don't know. I'm just throwing this out there. This is not it, but it might be like the Yish. Every Yiddish letter or every Assyrian letter you see will have a corresponding Yiddish word with it, right? But that's Yiddish. That's not ancient Hebrew. When you see this, all you do is replace it with I. Right. So I hope that answers the question. Oh yeah, Most High in Christ. You definitely. Hey, listen. It definitely takes some time to learn. Hebrew. It's. I went to class. Damn near. 6 to 8 months every Friday. Before I became a trooper, and even when I was a trooper, still in Hebrew class a lot of times, trying to learn the alphabet. That's why it's important. It's kind of repetitive to come in and do the alphabet at the beginning of each class, but there's always new people hopping on or hopping off, and if you don't learn the alphabet, then it's going to be real tough to learn the corresponding sounds that the letters make, because that's the whole base of it. So that's good. You're doing good. You know what I'm saying? Ask all the questions you got. If I don't know, I go get, I'll ask the question to, the brothers who've been teaching the Hebrew a little longer than me. But the point is, once you learn the alphabet, then you'll learn all the sounds. And once you know the sounds, then you'll be able to say Sha'ash. Right? And so, like I told you before, it's even easier than Kamash, right? So what you got here? You just got two shas. Right? And obviously these are connected. Shashash. Sha'ash, I should say. Sha'ash. Right? And then if you get it in, go ahead, you got a question?
How do you pronounce that? How do you say it?
Sha'ash.
Josh?
Sha'ash. And if you put it in, if you write it in Syrian, this is one of the few Assyrian letters that looks damn near the same as the ancient. So it's still easy. All right. All right, let's get number 7. You know what? Let's give it another try. Let's see if somebody can tell me what number 7 is. Number 7. Hit your blue letter Bible. Your blue letter Bible. Hit your blue letter Bible. And type in the word 7. And you search your little magnifying glass. 7. I'll even give you a hint. You can use Genesis 5:25. And if you read it in the Bible view, and you click the number 25, and you go to your interlinear concordance, it's going to come up with some words. I'm going to give it a second. Hopefully somebody can look this up. Look up the word, type it in the chat. Anybody? Going once. I'll give a little time because if you're not that familiar with the Blue Letter Bible, it might take a little time.
Shabbat.
Okay. Kev, you're not supposed to answer.
Oh, I'm in the like,
no, Kev got it. So, yeah, actually, that's wild. At least there's some participation. You and the sister that's online. So, did you look it up with your Blue Letter Bible?
I looked it up on I just looked up on Google. It's like,
oh, okay, no, that's straight. I would say for Google though, Most High in Christ, you almost had it, sis. Now we're gonna talk about what you put in there because that was actually a real good try. And you probably put in there what you saw, and I'm gonna tell you the only difference is what you did. But that's excellent. You found the word that we was looking for, and Cat found the word, obviously. But I don't really count him because he had captained to 10,000. So no, he did good too. So I would tell you,
learn from you, man.
that's Most High in Christ, Cap. I would say Google. I would be careful with Google per se. Not that it's wrong. I don't know. I never used it. I just know anytime I've looked up a word in the Blue Letter Bible, it's been accurate, and that's what's on the school's website to use. But if you can find it in Google, Most High in Christ. I just can't. You know what I mean? I don't know nothing about it. But he found it in Google.
Can you use the Blue Letter app? What Blue Letter Bible without the Blue Letter app?
On the website? Yeah, you like if you're on the laptop?
Yeah.
Concept.
Okay, on the website?
Yeah, you just go to blueletterbible.com. So yeah, it's definitely a good site. That site, as well as the 2-letter lookup, was real excellent sites for looking up words in Hebrew. Now to the sister. Okay. All right, this is the Hebrew word Shabbai. Now the sister put Shaba, Shaiba. All right, like I said, that was excellent that you found the word. But now we're going to talk about what you find in there and then what you got to look for. All right, so I'm going to get back in my blue letter Bible. Okay. So here's the difference between what you find in there and what you got to take from there, right? So you went in there and you found 7. It says and 7, and it has Sheba in there, right? That's what you found, and you would think that would be the word, but the only thing that you got to remember is there's no e's in ancient Hebrew. So the word that they put in there for Yiddish, that Sheba, all you want to do is the only thing that you want to take away from there is the Assyrian Hebrew, right? So the Assyrian that they have in there, they have the Shah, the Ba, and the I. So on this example, just for the sake of what you found in there, we're gonna put the Assyrian first. Let's change it up a little bit. The Assyrian, you found the Shah. Was it the Shah, the Ba, and the I? Right? The Shah, the Ba, and the I. Yep. Okay. So they put Sheba, but you know now because you're learning in the Hebrew class, there's no vowels, meaning there's no E's in that. And the only letters that you got to remember is the alphabet. So instead of saying Sheba, you would say Sha, Ba, and then I, right? Which is not the same here. So when you write it out in English, it'll look like this. Let me know if that makes sense to you, right? So this is the Assyrian. You see the Assyrian, but this is the word that they give you. They give you Sheba. But scratch whatever they give you. Whatever they give you is trash. Only thing that you have to remember is the letters that correspond to the ancient Hebrew. The Shah, the Ba, and the I. Now let's put it in Assyrian. I'm sorry, put it in ancient. You got the Shah. You got the Ba, and then you got the I. Shah, Ba, I. Most High in Christ. So she said that's clear. That's good. So, but that, like I said, that's excellent. That's how you look up a word in the blue letter Bible. Only thing you take away, you don't take away what they write out. You just take away the letters that you need, and then you put your corresponding ancient Hebrew letters, and you got your English. So instead of Sheba, Sheba I. You got the Shah and the Ba and the I. Now, this one is a little clearer to me. Like this one, I can understand why it's connected the way it's connected, right? So you got the Shah, which is by itself, and then you got 2 letters or 2 characters. You got the Ba and the I. Now, since there's nothing else in the I, you know you're not going to drop the I, right? So you would have to drop, because usually on these, what we've been doing, like as an example here, Kamash, like really you got 3 letters, it would say Ka, Ma, Sha, right? So to get, when you join them, you drop this last letter. That makes sense to me. This one also makes sense, right? Because you got the Sha, the Ba, and the I. Well, there's not another letter over here, so you wouldn't just drop this, then there wouldn't be any point of adding, right? So in that case, you drop the A in the Ba. So then you get Shaba I. Well, anyway, it makes sense to me. Hopefully, I I explained that correctly, but that one does make sense because normally you're looking to drop that last letter. In this example, you didn't drop the last letter. You dropped the letter from the previous character. So, okay, Tio got another question. So the connections are just learned from experience. Yeah, I kind of asked, was there documentation on, on the connectors and kind of like rules, but there's not, and I think because it's such a lost language, like at least from my experience, I haven't found any rules on it. It just comes from, experience of doing the words. And sometimes sometimes when I submit words, I might have a word or two wrong, that I send to the general. Like for the most part, the word is correct, but I dropped, like in the, say for this example, maybe I dropped the wrong word or the wrong letter out the word. So like obviously the general, he's been doing it for years. So it just comes with a lot of experience. So you're definitely right on that. You're going to have to get some experience with it. But the good thing is